talk about. Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard. It's Tuesday.
It sure is, Bill. It sure is. It feels like it. I feel like I've already lived a full week. So since yesterday. So there's that.
And it's only Tuesday.
Yes, it's only Tuesday.
There we go. All right. And another nice day in the city of Savannah.
Yes, it kind of heated back up yesterday. A little bit warmer.
Yeah, warmer than usual. But that's climate change.
Yes. It feels like a steam room outside, Bill.
That's right. For sure.
Very exciting.
It'll cool off again because we have climate change. We call it seasons.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yes. And I kind of wanted to touch a little bit this morning about how Russell Brand, number one, he has not been convicted.
Right.
He's been accused, but he has really no way to defend himself. YouTube has demonetized his channel, so he cannot make money off of his YouTube channel. Rumble has come out in support of him. And now we have advertisers that are basically trying to go after Rumble. Burger King has pulled their advertising, and so has HelloFresh, along with, I think, ASOS is the name of the company, some clothing company. But I think that's pretty interesting, Bill.
Yeah.
When you're trying to take someone's livelihood when they have not been convicted of anything, they have been accused. And unfortunately, because of the Me Too movement, it has gone from believe all women to believe no women. And I think
that's an excellent point. And it's pathetic how this comes about, and that nobody seems to understand how, why, or anything else. But all of a sudden, these people come out of the woodwork and start accusing people of things. It was a great story here in Georgia that we'll get to perhaps in the next day or two. But there's been a man who has just gotten out of prison. He's been in prison he was 22 when he went in. He's 42 years old now. And it turns out that he was innocent. And how they found out about this was because of a podcast. There's been a podcast that has these people are dedicated to getting people released from prison, and they've been very successful at it. They've taken on something like 22 or 25 cases, and 16 of them have been overturned. People who were in jail, in prison, and were innocent. And they uncovered all sorts of evidence that had not been presented before. They found some jury tampering, also a DA that had taken a bribe or some sort of thing. But this guy had been in prison. He came out. We usually would see these people come out, Brittany. You see them. They're in their 60s or 70s or something like that. They've been in there for 20 years. This guy came out looking like just a young kid, maybe just out of college or something. So being only 42 years old, but had been in prison for 20 years for something he did not do. And thank God for this podcast that finally got this guy's evidence out. And so we've got Russell Brand, who has not denied any of these things about what a womanizer.
He was a womanizer. Yeah, he knows.
Sure, skirt chaser we used to call him.
Yeah,
or whatever.
But he was cheered on by the left when he was on their side. Now that he's more of a moderate, or he's anti-war, and he anti-pharmaceutical company, I think that that's why he's being targeted. That's why all of a sudden it's a big deal. I think we're also seeing this with. Even the guy that I'm trying to think of his name right now, the guy that is now being charged out of New York, they're actually charging someone with a crime. It's weird. The Democrat senator from New Jersey. Yes. He came out and questioned the deal with Iran, and now all of a sudden he's now under fire. Not saying that he's not guilty, but I do think it's interesting the timing of everything, because there's always a reason that the media and the left will go after someone, and it usually is because it's going to benefit them. But this thing with Russell Brand really bothers me, especially because I think this is an indicator that perhaps they are going to try and get rid of Rumble, because Rumble is the only platform that is allowing free speech and not taking people's monetization down, because guess what? People are allowed to watch what they want to watch in a free country, which is getting more limited here in the U.S.
Yeah, we're getting less and less free, and it's by design. As Laura Ingraham opened her program last night, invasion by invitation was her talking point last night on the angle that all of these people that are coming pouring in here, and some of the Democrats are even worried about it now because I think they're worried about reelection, and most politicians are much more concerned about the security of their seat than about the security of their country, and they are suddenly worried that they could get voted out of office because of all these illegals that are pouring across the border, especially when we find out some of the illegals are going to vote for Republicans.
Well, here's the other thing, Bill. You are bringing all these people over, and then you're telling people we're probably going to have some food shortages.
Yeah.
Do you think people are okay with that? They're like, okay, so you're bringing in all these people that we now have to, we shouldn't have to feed, honestly, but we're going to end up paying for to feed. And yet a lot of people that are American citizens that are paying tax money to feed these people are probably not going to be able to afford a lot for their own families.
Exactly.
How is that right, Bill?
Well, it isn't. And by the way, it's not sustainable. It's a house of cards. Because sooner or later, the people who are producing are going to quit producing and say, okay, well, we'll sit back on our haunches and we'll let you feed us too. Well, then who's paying the bills? The government doesn't make money.
They sure don't. They take it from the American citizens.
Exactly.
And Mary McCann Hybrider said regarding Russell Brand, if you question the narrative, you will be canceled. Absolutely. And he's been probably one of the most anti-war people out there. And we can see that things are coming to a head, I think. When you have 60 Minutes reporting where the money is all going, I think it's a real problem.
Yeah, and 60 Minutes actually did this past Sunday night.
American taxpayers are financing more than just weapons. We discovered the US government's buying seeds and fertilizer for Ukrainian farmers and covering the salaries of Ukraine's first responders, all 57,000 of them. That includes the team that trains this rescue dog, named Joy, to comb through the wreckage of Russian strikes looking for survivors. And the US also funds the divers, who we saw clearing unexploded ammunition from the country's rivers to make them safe again for swimming and fishing. Russia's invasion shrank Ukraine's economy by about a third. We were surprised to find that to keep it afloat, the US government is subsidizing small businesses.
Why are they not? Us? Yeah, why aren't they subsidizing our small businesses? Since during COVID, most people there's a lot of people that lost their businesses, Bill, and then had to go work for a corporate company, which is what they want. But it's heartbreaking to me to see where we're at in this country and that we're not even taking care of our own citizens, but yet we're going to take money from the taxpayers and we're going to give it to other people. I'm very disappointed in our representative here who voted to send $300 million more to Ukraine. There is no reason we need to be sending money over there. Look at Philadelphia, look at Chicago. I mean, pick Baltimore. A city. Yeah, pick a city. Baltimore. Yeah. Did you hear Did you hear how many people are proficient in math? 11%. Yeah. 11%. And there was 12 schools. Not one person was proficient in math. Not one.
And the superintendent there makes over almost $500,000 a year. This
insane. It's absolutely insane.
Overseeing a failing school system.
Government is the only place you can fail up.
Yeah. And what was interesting is that we talked to our youngest grandson last night, who just turned 8, and we got him a phone for his birthday.
A cell phone?
No, okay. No, it's a dial phone. It's a dial phone.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's calling us now, and we're keeping up to date. And they go to Veritas Academy, which is he and his brother, and that's a classical education. It's a very small private school here. And they do a classical education. Last night, he was going over some of his homework with us, and he was telling us how many. He was talking about, and his mom asked him, "What are you learning about anatomy?" And he was telling us how many bones are in the body, how many muscles, how many parts, what the 3 parts of the brain are, what the heart does, and the different parts. I want you to ask any other 8-year-old in a public school, how many parts of the brain are there, and name them. How many bones are in the human body, and name them. And he said, what's the biggest bone? I said, the femur. And he would have to think about the answer for a second or two, but he would usually come up with it. And these are some of the things that they're learning. He had to do a presentation on Christopher Columbus last week, and he had to bring his presentation in and dress it some of the way that Columbus did. I mean, it is amazing what they're learning.
The thing is if things aren't broke, don't fix them. I mean, classical education works.
Yeah.
We don't need to have all this fancy stuff. We don't need,
In fact, speaking of that, this morning on Fox and Friends, Brian Kilmeade was interviewing a movie producer. They have just come up with a movie that's based on Ajax, the god of is that the god of war? One of the Greek
Okay.
gods.
Okay.
And he had a classical education, and he's doing a play now with that you'll have access to, that shows the ravages of war and the PTSD and all the things that families are going through. But he's going back to but they're doing it from ancient Greece of plays that they had then, that we're talking about. The warriors then had the same problem. The wives were wondering what they do with, how they can help their husband when they come back from battles. And they have the exact same problems that they're having today. And he said he's bringing it forward, and they're doing all this, and it's very impressive. But that's what a classical education can do for you. That he said, this PTSD stuff and all of this stuff, but what you do when you come back from war and the depression that you have, the bad things that you see, are no different now than they were thousands of years ago. I remember some years ago, Life magazine, Lifetime Life, was publishing some pretty good stuff about the Civil War, and one of them was letters from home or to home. Letters so they published letters that soldiers wrote to their parents from the battlefield, and it was heart-rending to hear some of this stuff. One of the classic lines was, "Mama, I hope you never see what I have seen. You never have to see what I have seen of the horrors of war and battle." And it's and so things. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
Things are not that different. We're not that different on the battlefield then. The weapons have been different, are different, about the only change.
Yeah. Well, I also think technology also inhibits people's ability to be creative sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something that has changed as well.
Yeah.
We have some comments here. Steve Stanton Sr. says, ever since I've been able to vote, Carter, I've heard the next election is the most important of our lifetime. Well, I can safely say 2024 is possibly our last. We had better get it right. And Mary McCann Hybrider says over 100 billion. She's talking about Ukraine. Lizzie Warren says Ukraine is a money pit, and Mary comes back with war is nothing but a money-making scheme for the military-industrial complex. Absolutely. And I think the one thing that's...
start the war and furnish the ammunition.
Yeah, well, and the other thing, Bill, is we're seeing our country fall apart, and yet we're paying more taxes than we've ever paid before.
Yeah.
And we're getting less for our money. Oh, but everyone else is getting more. Every other country is getting more. Mm-hmm. Isn't that exciting and fun?
Yeah. We're not concerned about our border, but we're concerned about Ukraine's.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yes, that's how it goes.
But this is all by design. This is all designed to destroy the United States of America, and we better wake up and solve it in this next election. And that's what this next segment is going to be about. We're going to talk to a gentleman who's in charge of Vote GA. They're trying to get this thing straightened out with these lousy voting machines that we have, and he's got all the goods on the 2020 election and all the fraud that went on that they continue to say didn't happen. That's next. Stay real.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Are you a mom or dad? Do you have little kids with big dreams? Well, hopefully your kids aren't white or Asian, because if they are, they will have a very hard time getting into their dream college or landing their dream job. Top schools and corporations are run by